Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Spruce, and today we're doing another indie spotlight. I have the producer and screenwriter, dual husband and wife. I have Louis and Monica Lavella. So they have a new project that they've pretty much wrapped up on. It's called the Woodmen. Guys, welcome to the Horror Room.
Thanks for having us. Yeah,
Thank you.
We're excited to talk to you and have all the fans listening. We got a couple great projects to talk about and just talk all things horror.
Awesome. Listen, I'm happy to have you on. Now, let's talk first about The Woodmen, which is a found footage horror movie. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, so filmmaker, friend of ours, Joshua Brucker, approached us with a great script and had an awesome location, had cast already buttoned up, and was looking for some extra producing on board. So I was pretty excited to jump on board. Josh was great. He's done a lot of other films with the Horror Dads Productions. So I'm very happy to jump on board as producer and have his vision sort of come to light, how he wanted to see it as a found footage film. And The Woodman is fantastic. It's a very fun film. People are going to have to see that. It's going to be great. And what my role of it as a producer basically was to take the film as he completed it and now do some of the business side of it all, which is, talk to distributors and find the marketing angles and things like that. So that's been a pretty fun run for us. And our other project, Invited, which we'll talk about in a little bit, is a film that Monica wrote, and we both produced, and that is a screen life horror, which is a lot of fun nowadays, and that's just wrapping up as well in the edit phase, and we're looking for a great release on that too in early 2024. So we got a couple things on the go, which is great.
Awesome. And you got a big premiere coming up in Indianapolis for The Woodmen?
In Illinois. Yeah, in Illinois.
Illinois.
Yeah. We have a private screening going on there. Tickets are selling pretty fast, actually. It's on the 26th, 27th, I believe that is, the Friday, Saturday of October. So if you're watching this before that date, head to thewoodmanfilm.com to grab the last remaining tickets, and it will sell out. So if you're seeing this just before that or right after, we will have, of course, a digital release date fairly soon. So we're excited for that, which is going to be great, and hit all the relevant platforms, of course.
Amazing. Now, Louis and Monica, what made both of you decide, you know what, let's jump into the horror industry?
Yeah.
That was a COVID situation. So
Yeah,
okay.
Louis's been in the industry forever since he was younger. He used to be a TV host for many years and producing TV there. And then got into a lot of marketing with nightclubs and music festivals, which that was the other entertainment side of things. And then with music festivals, obviously COVID hit and everything shut down. At the time, I also owned a plant-based food festival, and that was shut down. And so I loved writing. I'd written a few children's books, believe it or not, which seems like nothing like horror. But I really wanted to try my hand at screenwriting. And Louis is a huge horror fan. I was definitely not a horror fan. Like, I could not watch horror movies. And that's like his entire life is watching horror movies since he was a baby. Like, his mom was pregnant watching horror movies with him. So like, it's in his blood.
I'm sure Exorcist was the first
in the womb.
Yeah.
In the womb. I'm sure it was. Yeah, absolutely.
And then yeah, you were like, try horror. He had an idea for a horror script many years ago, more than a decade ago, and it was found footage actually. And then I took it and turned it into a regular non-found footage film, but horror. And once I learned the actual formula to horror, I was like, okay, this is not as horrifying as I always used to think it was. And now I've watched, like, I'm still going through all like the big horror films, but obviously it's been a few years now, so I've watched almost everything. I've been caught up on stuff, but that's kind of what started it. And then I guess it was 2 years ago almost, we decided that we'd start with a couple short films and just see ourselves at home with our kids. And we had 2 of them that we pumped out and ended up putting them into film festivals, and they did really well. And we were going to do more, but then we were like, why not try a feature? And that's where Invited came in. So yeah. It was written purposefully. I wrote it during the pandemic when the lockdown was happening. And so it's a Zoom, like Louis said, a screen life horror. So in our eyes, it was like easier to shoot it that way because anyway, it was not easier. Yeah. We had to get like 4 different crews for all the different rooms that we were shooting. Anyway, it was great. It was so much fun. And we learned a ton. And yeah, and then after that, it was the Woodmen, which was a few months after we shot Invited. So that's kind of how like
that's where the journey kind of connected everything. And and so now we're excited to work on a slate of films and sort of brand 105 as a sort of larger production house and even a boutique sort of, I'll call it a boutique label, I guess, a boutique film house called Fear Lab, which is I think is going to really concentrate on those experimental, the found footages, the Zoom horrors, things that you can really experiment with. While 105, I think, will take on some of our bigger projects, with larger budgets and things like that. But I think it's fun to experiment with storylines and smaller budgets, and with smaller budget, you can experiment more because there's potentially less risk, so to speak, right? But there's audiences for everything. Like for found footage, there's huge audiences for found footage still.
I'm a huge found footage fan.
Yeah, we definitely want to do a couple more of those, if we can, and it's in our lineup in our slate. But we are still very active in developing some of our larger budget movies, which is going to be really exciting. So
awesome. Now, Louis, being able to work with your wife one-on-one, is it nice getting a woman's touch when it comes to making a horror film?
Yeah, I mean, I can't compare. Of course, it's great working with her because she has a brilliant mind for story. I'm a great ideas guy. We'll go on a walk in the morning with the kids and the dog. I'm like, I have this crazy idea that's a horror. She's like, oh, here we go, another idea. And she's brilliant at crafting an actual script and a story out of that, which I be able to do. For a women's touch in horror, I guess it's nice to have a different angle of how, I guess, a personality would be and the story arc. Many male writers do very well in horror too, so I can't really compare exactly that. Oh, it's definitely way better to have a male or female, but I can only compare her brain to other stories that we've seen. You know what I mean? And of course, we've seen a lot of horror movies out there where the story could be flat, and there's no character built or whatever the case is. So that's kind of a.
And as a huge horror fan, I can tell while watching a movie if a man made this movie or if a woman made this movie.
Yeah.
And I've interviewed a couple husband and wife filmmakers, and you can definitely tell because it's more genuine. Like you're like, wow, yep, that's how a woman would talk, or that's how a woman would think. Yep, that's how a man would talk, or that's how a man would think. So to be able to bounce off each other is definitely a nice touch.
That's probably the best part of it too. And we have such differing backgrounds and experiences in our own businesses before coming together to start our film company. And we have, again, like just the way our brains work are so different. Our talents are so different, but when we come together, I don't know why we didn't do this before, because we've been together for 20 years, and we're only just now kind of doing this, and it's like, oh my gosh, we come together, and now it just feels like so much stronger together than apart, just for that reason, because of all of those.
A lot of complementary skills,
yeah,
which kind of is very cool to have, right? In any business partner, if you have the exact same skills, you start to, I guess, not step on each other's toes, but you're doing the same things. And there's big pieces of the business pie that's now missing, right? And you want to find partners that complement things that you're missing, right? So things can move forward. Really cool in what we have, which is awesome. As a producer writer team, ideas writer, producer as well. Like, we both have the business mind, so it really works. It works very well, and we're excited to keep creating stories that we want to see. That's what I always say, is like, I want to make movies I want to watch. Right?
Correct. I mean, that's the key. Now I'm going to ask Monica this question first, and then Louis, I'm going to shoot over to you.
Right.
Monica, what's one thing about Louis when it comes to filmmaking that you're like, oh, I love that, I wish I had that?
His schmoozing. He is you put him in a room anywhere in the world and he will know everybody in like 5 minutes and everyone will love him. Like, he is just the most amazing human and so kind and puts other people first. And I am, I guess you would say, a typical writer. I like to hide behind my computer. I seem like an extrovert, but I'm very introverted in that when I walk into a room, I'm like, oh my God, no, I can't do this right now. But Louis like so comfortable and just loves talking to people and meeting people. And I'm very inspired by that. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah, you can drop me anywhere.
Louis?
As a writer, I mean, her organizational skills is just key, especially again complementary to our business. My focus is always way off. I have 1,000 ideas and I want to do them all at the same time, and which is good for my brain. You know, I can have 50 tabs open at once, but her organizational skills also allows her to learn everything by being laser focused. So she can learn quickly. She can get a script out that's quality in a fast amount of time, you know, where some people may take years to get a great script out or a mediocre script and they're just refining, which is okay. You know, she can get a great script out rather quickly. Not that we need to create 50 scripts a year, but the ideas can now get into a nice formed, you know, a screenplay where we can read it and say, how's the story going? And that's because of her ways of learning very quickly. So it's a power skill that I don't have.
Power team.
It's great. It's great. Yeah, it's really cool. And then together, of course, we can create these stories and try and find ways to get them done. You know, so as business people, you know, everything's all about financing at a certain point, right? We can have great stories, and you'll want to tell the stories you want to tell, no matter what, which is all great. But who's going to pay for it? Will it be us? Great. You know, we have done that as well. Or is it bigger, and you need to go through the typical, you know, ways of financing a film, and that's kind of what we're starting to work on now with the larger scope projects, and that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Now, I do have a lot of new filmmakers that, you know, I interview. They come, the subscribers to my channel. What is something that advice you can give them right now when it comes to making films, especially horror?
Yeah, I think there's an audience for everything. And especially horror. Horror is like a fan expo audience. We see in fan expos and comic cons a horror section. They have the, you know, horror fan expos are all out there. People buy the T-shirts and, you know, the merch, and so
merch.
Yeah, it's a big fan expo style of audience, which is great because that means you will buy the VHS. I always say you buy the VHS without even having a VHS player because you want to collect it, which is really cool. So for a new filmmaker, my advice as a marketing guy as well is always think about the audience. Always think about what you're creating for yourself, but also who's going to watch it, because that is the end result. You're trying to sell it to your investors, if you have an investor, or yourself, or your parents, or whoever is investing. You're trying to sell it to the next stage, which might be the distributors. So are they going to like the film and help you out, or sales agents? And in the end, it's the audience. Will they actually want to see it? Whether that's renting it, going to a theater, or on Tubi for free. Either way, you need the views still, right, to get those ad rates and those ad dollars come in. So that's one thing that I think most people in the creative zone stop thinking about. They think it's someone else's sort of responsibility, whether it's a record label if you're in music, or a distributor if you're in film. And you run out of money and ideas sometimes by not thinking about that, right? And I think that's super important. Who is going to watch it? How do we get it to those people?
My advice would be to just start.
Just go for it.
What you were just saying?
Yeah, mine's at the end. Make sure you know who's going to see it.
And everybody has a phone. Like, we can do so much with our phones. That our first two shorts we shot with our phone. We shot here in our house. We shot during the pandemic. Like, it wasn't like easy, but you can find so many scripts, especially short scripts, online. Lots of people that are offering them. You like Stephen King offers them for like $1 if you want to take one of Stephen King's short stories and just make something. We all can do it. We have the capabilities in our hands with our phone. So my biggest advice would be to just try it and learn, because that's the best way, rather than learning from, you know, a book. You could only read so many things or take so many courses. If you go out and actually do the thing, you'll learn so much more that way. So that would be my advice as a newer person coming into it, is to just like, don't stall. Don't let those little voices in your head criticize you and tell you that you can't do it. You absolutely can do it. I came with zero knowledge and we banged out 2 of these things, and like, just do it.
Yeah. And like, you know, like she's saying, we have our phones in our hand, and stop worrying about which camera to buy and what lenses. Although you want to get to those points where you get nicer lenses, so you get different, but going through the process of, even in a short, we did shot lists and we did all the stuff you would do in a larger movie. we did in a short that we didn't really have to do it because we were doing it ourselves, and I directed, you wrote, like, I mean, but we did it for more and more practice.
Yeah.
And we used the phone with lighting and audio for practice. And sure, we could have the ARRI and the red, in future films, but that's just tools, that's just the tools that you use, right? But the practice of producing and creating and writing is important because you'll learn things you like.
And I agree with the both of you. Like, even like when it comes to my YouTube channel, the best thing I say is just go and do it. And that's eventually what I had to do for years. I was like, I'm going to do it. And then one day I was like, screw it, I'm going to do it. Like, and just grab whatever equipment I could purchase at that time and go for it. Over time, you just build up. You get better. You learn more. You can start getting more expensive editing equipment on this stuff. But like, you gotta have something to start from. And procrastination will never be the key.
Yeah, and there's always a little fire or a big fire to put out, no matter how big or small the project is. So you might smaller ones and get through those fires and learn from them, or not sweat it if it happens, because it happens no matter where, what project you're on. So just like you said, just do it. You'll grow the equipment, you'll get bigger, more cast, more crew, bigger scope of project. Just take those steps and just go.
I 100% agree. Now, tell us a little bit about The Invited. You hinted about it. Let's talk about it.
Yes, that's a fun thriller horror. You want to talk about it?
Oh, sure.
It's all in your head.
It is all in my head. And I'm like, wait, I can't say the things that.
Yeah, we don't want to spoil anything. We just watched another cut today.
Yeah, today.
We another edit today. Like, we're getting close
nice
to final
fresh.
cut now. So it's good. Yeah.
It was such a fun project to do. So again, I wrote it during the pandemic with the idea of that it would be easiest to shoot in that capacity. But yeah, as we started planning it and everything, we found out that wasn't the case, because we had it in 4 different rooms in our house we were shooting. We had one section shot previous. So the premise is basically we were watching through the laptop of a mother, and her daughter has eloped and is getting married. So the family is coming on to watch this wedding. Now, the daughter had met her fiance while traveling in Europe. The parents have never met him before. They just found out that there was going to be a wedding. And it was just 2 weeks ago that they had found out. So we're sitting here watching this wedding take place. And it turns out that he's actually part of a cult with deadly intentions. And so lots of stuff goes on. That's as much as I will give you for now. But in the shoot at our house, it was an amazing experience, but so crazy to have. Like I said earlier, there was 4 different crews, because we needed a crew in every single room. We had a laptop for each of our actors that were sitting in front of on the Zoom. They were watching each other on Zoom, but each laptop above had a camera, and that was what we were recording from, because otherwise the recording wouldn't work out if we were trying to do it on Zoom. Anyways, oh my gosh, it was so fun, and we had the most exceptional crew, and everyone was so positive and uplifting. It was just the greatest time, but it was not as easy as we thought it would be. Yeah, it was
hectic. Yeah,
that's an amazing concept. I'm already interested.
Yes, send you a screener. Yeah. As in a production standpoint, you're thinking it'd be simple. Couple laptops, hit record. Yeah. But then when you start getting into the technicalities of, well, where's the audio going to come from? Okay, well, each room needs its own audio. Should we do one person at a time? Well, how do you bounce off the next actor? Well, then all 4 families should be on at the exact same time so they could actually act. Well, now that means, like you mentioned, you have 4 units basically at the same time going on, right? And it just gets a little more complicated from there. So the easy movie that we wanted to do was not the easy one, but again, it's cool. You go through the process. It was totally fine. Yeah. And now, we've done that one, and that was, I feel like the next movie that's even a way bigger budget, that's single camera, it's going to feel easier to us, because we're not doing 4 units at the same time. It's just one DP and one director, and the scene is right there, it's going to feel a little bit easier probably. So it was fun to do. It was really fun.
And it was based on a real cult as well. That's when really? People read the script, they're like, your mind is so, and I was like, no, it was based on a real cult.
We'll see who survives. You'll have to watch it.
Oh, that sounds amazing.
It's a fun one.
Now, what's one thing that after finishing The Invited for your that you would take to your next project? You were like, I like what we did there. Let's take that over. And what's one bad thing that you were like, I don't want to make that mistake on the next one?
Okay, so
good questions.
I'll start with bad thing as producer. Because it was a small budget, we had a more condensed day shoot, like days of shooting. We didn't have our 20 days or our 10 days. It was very condensed. And since we had that complicated shoot, it was hectic to get through all the pages, right? Turned out great still, but it's nice to have a little bit more breathing room. We didn't have anything major that put us behind. We did crack our windows. There's a fun story she can tell you. So that put us behind a couple hours, but we didn't have anything like, oh, we're outside and it's raining, we have to stop and we'll shoot tomorrow type of thing that caused any major backlog. So we got it all in the can and it was great. It was just a little more, condensed and active because we were going through the pages. Great director, great cast, great crew, like you said. So it was lots of fun. But one thing I would want to make sure I try and do is either the script is contained and simple enough that you can do it in a small, but Woodmen was done, I believe Josh did it in 7 days, I think it was. But the way his planning was, I think it was 7 days, but the way the planning was in the one location, in the woods, basically, he was able to get through those scenes with some breathing room. Whereas for us, we had 4 units at once. We had another off day that was in a church and we did all this blood and special effects. Then it was pretty compact. So I would love to give more breathing room in a low budget film if we could. That would be something I would not want to do, but a lot of people do that. You do them on the weekends, you do a 5-day shoot and it still turns out great. You just have to expect that multiple hats, just you're working hard and everybody just have fun. Just make sure everyone's chill and fed well. She ordered great food and
fed well, yeah.
It was great.
I got the organization part down. I think for me, I would say to delegate more. I believe just from like my own personal experience as a business person, it's always been harder for me to delegate because I always feel like, well, I'll just do it. Maybe that's also a mother thing because I feel like that with the kids sometimes too. So I would definitely have delegated a little bit more. There was a lot of responsibilities and it got to be a lot, but I mean, everything was still great. And then the thing that I would keep for next time is definitely like the smaller things that I feel like a lot of the cast and crew had appreciated. So like the mirrors, let's say in our bathroom, I had like a special marker that I said, like, what's your favorite part about day one? And then they would write like different things. So like, I don't know, that was just one of the things that a couple of them were like, I love that you did that. Cause like everybody's writing like the different things on the mirror in the bathroom of like stuff that they enjoy that day. And it just kept the morale up, I think. So I just feel like making little small touches on set for cast and crew is just something that is probably not really done. And I think that I would continue to do.
Amazing answers. Those are great answers. All right, so with the invited, if you guys would have had, let's say, a unlimited budget, if somebody would have came in and said, here's an unlimited budget, what's one thing that you would have added into the movie, or what's one piece of equipment you added? Like,
I don't know. What added to the movie? Again, more days for sure, just so you have more fun with more breathing room on shoots and stuff like that, just to kind of play around a little bit more. I think would be something fun to do with an unlimited budget.
More special effects.
Yeah,
like
more
a bigger
special
budget
effects,
for special effects.
So you get more blood and stuff like that. Then more motion graphics. I mean, having the Zoom and desktop, you're not screen recording our own desktop. All that had to be created from scratch in After Effects. The great motion graphics guy. But again, with more budget, you may have more assistants and whatnot to all assist in that, because that was a very, again, not the easy movie. That was a heavy, it still is, a heavy load of creating a movie like this.
We're only supposed to pick one thing.
Oh, sorry. Producer hat. What thing?
See, I'm bringing him back. I'm bringing him.
A lot. Yes.
A lot. Yeah. Well, give me a couple things.
So your team, I mean, your director, the cast, how did you find everyone? How did all the pieces get put together?
We're invited. We'd been working with our EP for a bit, and he was amazing in guiding us into this first film. And he had actually suggested the director we ended up with for another project, a bigger project that we had, who he had already attached to that bigger project. And when he heard I had just finished this one, he was like, "Oh, I want to read it." And then he read it and he's like, "Can I direct this?" So that's how we got our director. And casting, I did.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was just basically like throwing the descriptions and everything on. What did I use? Mandy.com.
Backstage.
Backstage.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then that's how
Lots
we
of
found.
auditions.
Yeah, lots. And we're in Canada, so we were getting a ton of people from the States, because we're very close to the border. And so that was tricky because it was in very bold like letters, like Canadians only. So I had like 300 things that I could only look at like 25 people. But it turned out well. I still feel like we got some really amazing actors who, like, we needed one who could speak Russian, and I never thought I would be able to find that person, and we found the most amazing woman to play this one part. So I'm excited about it.
Yeah.
So you guys keep mentioning gore. Is going to be quite a bit of gore in the Invited?
It'll be in there for sure.
Yeah.
It's part of the cult. The cult's culture.
The cult's culture.
Yeah. It's got a nice pace to it as well. Like, being on a screen life, you don't have the movement and the scenery for multiple of the shots. So the script is great because it has that pace to it where you're like, and it just keeps getting more intense as well, which is pretty nice. Yeah, keeps you glued in what's going to happen next.
I love it.
Yes.
All right, so this is the part of the interview. I don't know if you've seen any of my interviews where I'm just going to ask you both 3 random questions.
Love it.
All right, Monica, you're first.
Okay.
What iconic horror actor or actress would you love to have in one of your movies?
Oh my gosh. A horror specific? Mm-hmm. Jamie Lee Curtis, probably.
Steal mine.
Oh my God. Sorry, I'm asking.
I think someone else. No, Jamie, she's great. Okay. Something else. Ask her another question first.
Louis, is the same for you, Jamie Lee Curtis?
I would say Jamie Lee Curtis only because she's very much iconic. Of course, I have the Halloween shirt on, and she's been through the Halloween franchise for pretty much all of them, which is great. Now, she's doing some other great films now. She has, but I'm happy that she's always a champion of the genre, which would be great to work with her. But there's a lot of great actors and actresses that would be fun to work with, of course.
Amazing.
Actors.
Tons.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Louis, I'm gonna ask you first this time. Okay, a big studio comes to you and gives you a budget to make a big studio horror movie. It's gonna have to be off a already iconic series, but you got to put your fresh take on it. Which one is it going to be?
I got the answer, but I can't tell you because I'm actually working on that right now.
Really?
It is a huge, iconic trademark IP that we're in the middle of my schmoozing and our work towards that. I know exactly what the answer is, and I'll be on your podcast when I get to announce that, and we get to announce that. It is.
Well, make sure I get the exclusive on that.
Yes, because I have the answer to your question. I just will not tell you now.
I have a different answer.
Okay, go. Sorry, that's 2 non-answers for me.
Please don't comment tonight.
Yes.
I'm gonna go with The Conjuring. I love The Conjuring. So I would love to write the next one. I've said that a few times, but yeah, that would be, if somebody came to us, I'd be like, yes, please, that.
I could totally have a second answer and go with Friday the 13th. And only because it's iconic. Everybody knows the Jason mask. And, unfortunately, there's been some of the movies that weren't the greatest of them, and there's some of them that were great. Michael Myers, it seemed like a lot of them were still decent stories and stuff like that. Yeah. So, and I know, who's grabbing the rights to that? I think A24 is trying to get the rights to that if they haven't. Yeah. So is Blumhouse and stuff. So I'm happy to see them take a crack at it. But if I had an unlimited budget from a studio, I think Friday the 13th would be one of the iconic ones I'd love to take a crack at for sure. Make it, get a good story arc going on that, which would be you. You're the writer.
So, okay, Monica, you now have The Conjuring. What is your storyline? Just give us a brief.
Oh, gosh.
What is your take on The Conjuring?
Oh, my goodness. What would be my take?
Is it going to be a sequel, or are you going to do like a fresh reboot? put a
I
fresh
think I
coat of
do.
paint.
I'd probably do a fresh reboot. And it would still stick to paranormal. Like that is the one thing that I want to write and I haven't. We've got like an exorcist type script. We've got a werewolf script. We've got like invited as a screen life horror. Like we've got all these other things out there already. But paranormal is where my heart is. Like that has always, even when I did not like horror, we love going on ghost walks. We love going to Salem and we love like all like that kind of stuff. And I've not written that yet. So I'm like, I just want to write a paranormal. So, oh my gosh, I don't have an answer. I have to really think about this because stories come to me in such a way that I feel like I'm channeling. And being put on the spot, I can't think of anything because my muse is like, nope, we're not here right now. But maybe after Lou takes a crack at it, I'll have an idea.
Yeah. On one of our walks, I'll have the next Conjuring idea.
Yes. So what's your spin on Friday the 13th? Are you going to do a reboot or are you going to do a sequel?
Reboot. I believe it needs to be rebooted. I would say that would be my crack at it. Absolutely. Yeah. I don't think another sequel is probably necessary. I think, we have nice new fresh ideas. A lot of new horror fans out there that appreciate, different styles of horror, the elevated horror some people talk about as well. The 3 new Halloweens were sort of updated and some people love them, some people didn't. And I think that's with anything, with music, with any entertainment, you have your lovers and your haters, which is fine. But I think Friday the 13th could use a very cool, fresh reboot that, again, has a little bit more story into it. We know the backstory, right? Which is great, and keep that in there. I just think that the actual movie itself could have a little bit more, intense storylines. That's not just go slash. Like Scream does a very good job with adding story to it. The Scream TV series we love. We watch it all the time in October. It's got very cool story, and that is your slasher style with a nice story arc in there and the whodunits. Although we know Jason's the Jason, but yes. I think and I'm sure whoever takes it on next will add that flavor to it.
Actually, another filmmaker said the same thing recently, Friday the 13th, but he said he would make it a found footage.
Yeah.
Ooh, that's good.
And I was like, that's a great idea.
Would be found footage because that's a cool genre. It's a cool point of view if you do it well, and there's quite a few that could be very, very well done as a found footage and be very scary.
I got my Conjuring idea. So it would be based on YouTubers that go like to these haunted places and like try to like acquire the ghosts and then they end up getting haunted. And it wouldn't be the Warrens because they're no longer with us. But anyway, there'd be something in there, something in there like that.
Maybe something in there.
That's the.
What if somebody robs the Warrens Museum and that causes?
Or they're going to the Warrens Museum.
Yeah, that's true.
That's scary.
Yeah. Something along those
gets
lines.
out there. It gets sold in an estate sale.
Come to
How's
me.
that? You got to go find all the items. It gets sold in an estate sale. Oh, Annabelle's ends up somewhere.
Now, the one movie franchise no one seems to know what to do with, and that's the Texas Chainsaw Massacre series. I mean, besides the first 2, I mean, the reboot was pretty good. Do you think that Texas Chainsaw Massacre series needs to be done at this point, or do you think there's someone out there that could put a fresh coat of paint on it?
I think there's always someone that could put a fresh coat of paint on anything. Absolutely, because everybody's gonna have a different.
It's watchable.
Yeah, it's a different angle of it. Like I said, the Halloweens have had their chunks of sort of people who put their flavors on it. I think any series could have that, and when you have an iconic character like Leatherface, or Jason, or Michael Myers, or whoever it is, or the Saw, Jigsaw, like you can put those angles on there and use your imagination to tell the story how you would. Halloween franchise is also now up for grabs, we call it. I would probably take it back to an 80s feel. What was Michael doing in the asylum and his escape? I know we had a little bit of that in one of the movies there, but maybe more of that feel, that in between these stories, I think could be told with a slightly different angle, but still same familiar story. So you're not veering off from the original like lore because you don't want to do that too much. And again, Leatherface, I think for sure you can definitely maybe Rob Zombie would like those.
I mean, I love the character of Leatherface, but the last 4 or 5 movies have not been great.
Yeah, and I feel like the the Friday 13th had that little piece of what are they doing with the story here? Is it just Jason like running around New York or in space? And it's like, that's not the traditional way, and I get they're trying to feel out what the audiences would like, and that's great. But I think sticking to the storyline a little bit is good, like the lore of it, and then using your own angle and your own imagination of where this character would come out and cause their own killings.
Awesome. All right, guys. So where can everyone find you?
105.com. That's 105IVE. 105.com is our main website. And from there, you can click over to the Woodmen and invited, I think it's invitedmovie.com, which will be up soon. We're going to have a couple cool interactive things on that one. Play around in Zoom and things like that. Try and find the main character out in the cult somewhere. So that'll be kind of fun as well. And that'll be out early 2024. But 105.com is where you can connect with us and add us on social media. And we love interacting with everybody out there. So
nice. Make sure I get a screener, and I would like to have you guys back on anytime to promote anything. This has been an absolute pleasure.
Thank you for
so
having
much.
us.
No problem at all. Everybody, listen, check out the Woodmen, and also check out the Invited. Look out for those. Once again, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on.
Thank you.
All right, everyone. Well, thank you for coming to the Hard Room. I'm Travis Bruce. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.